I cheated on my girlfriend of 4 years, and it cost me everything. Here's my story of guilt, regret, and the consequences of betrayal. Stay tuned to find out how it all unraveled and where I am now. I cheated on my girlfriend of over 4 years. The title tells you what you need to know. We were together for nearly 5 years. I cheated on her, and she left me forever. I'll keep things as anonymous as possible out of respect for her, but I wanted to share my story here. We began dating as teenagers, starting as strangers who'd occasionally make eye contact in the hall at our high school. It wasn't long before we connected on social media, and I ended up asking her on a date. We never looked back. We continued strong throughout high school, becoming as close of friends as I've ever experienced. We were our first everything, and it was very much the idyllic young love that folks fantasize about on the screen. It wasn't long before our families were spending holidays together and planning vacations. The two of us had our issues and arguments from time to time, but we always knew how to communicate, apologize, and stand by each other when things were difficult. We were very young, but I think we knew how strong our connection was. Eventually, the time came when we had to prepare for college. We had ended up choosing different places for school. Most of our mutual friends did what high school couples do and called it quits around then, choosing to start fresh instead of accepting the challenge of long distance. We didn't want that. The first year of college went well. We maintained steady contact during the semesters and made up for the time away when we reunited back home for breaks and holidays. I was so proud to tell other people that we were making long-distance work. We'd built a steady foundation of trust and stayed true to the love we chose. Things changed in our second year of school. I'd taken on a new job and was more absorbed in the hustle of my daily life at college. She got busier too. I'd never been the best at organizing times to call on the phone, but it got much worse. I'd floated the idea of us making a schedule to call to make time for the other person, but she wanted spontaneity. A couple of months into the semester, she'd asked if I wanted to take a break. I was shocked, such that I didn't even register it as a genuine question. I dismissed it quickly, reassuring her that we'd been together for so long and were just experiencing a rough patch. She agreed, but the truth was that we were becoming distant. She just felt it sooner than I did. When we came back for holidays, we started arguing more than we had before. Little things would blow up into silent treatment and uneasy apologies. We'd argue in public and around friends, but we were still trying to make it work. Now is an appropriate time to mention my part in our dysfunction. I'd become less and less transparent about my feelings during our relationship. I believed that I could handle things on my own to keep our peace. If it wasn't already clear that this is being written by a man, let that be the indicator. But the truth was that she'd become increasingly judgmental as the years went on, opening up insecurities about myself that I never had. I'd also struggled with an addiction that predated our relationship, and it was something she'd found out about only a year on. I initially lied to her that I was getting better, but she found out, leading to a meltdown on my part where she made me promise that I'd never relapse. I relapsed within a couple weeks, and I thought that if I ever opened up about it, she would dump me right there. So I hid it, convincing myself that it was less of a problem than it was. She'd even check in occasionally to ask if I'd relapsed. Telling me it was okay if I had, she just wanted me to be honest. I wasn't honest. The semester following our tumultuous holiday break, I'd gotten into partying. My coworkers at my new job were big on the college bar scene, and so I decided to start joining them on their nights out. I found out that I had a decent alcohol tolerance, and I started going overboard. While I never reached the point of vomiting or blacking out, I'd often be the most intoxicated person in the group. You can see where this is going. One night I went out with my coworkers and got plastered, went overboard at the pregame, and didn't hold back once we made it to the bar. After a couple hours, we called it a night, as some friends helped walk me home. I decided to go back to one of my coworkers' places. We were decent friends, and she'd planned to get some food, which I was craving after our night out. Next thing I know, she admits that she has feelings for me. and I was taken completely off guard. She was someone I'd never thought of in that way, and I was uninterested for obvious reasons. Now confused and uncomfortable, I decided I wanted to cut the tension in the room. So I kissed her. My logic in the moment said that it didn't matter because I didn't have feelings for her. We kissed again, and then I was out for the night. It never went further than kissing, but the damage was done. I hid it from my girlfriend for a week, and my coworker continued to tell me that I had to tell her. I wanted to deliver the news face to face, but we wouldn't be meeting again for weeks. I knew it would only be worse if I continued to hide it from her, so I decided I'd call her and tell her, 1 week from the day that it happened. Unfortunately, my coworker told my girlfriend everything just a couple hours before. I planned to call. We called throughout the day, and I foolishly hid the fact that we'd kissed more than once, which she'd find out from the other girl. She was heartbroken and devastated. We both ended the call flooded with tears, and she decided that space was needed. I spent the next month fighting desperately for the relationship. My actions opened my eyes to all the things I'd been doing wrong, and I was determined to turn things around and make it work. This was just a really, really rough patch, but we'd made it through before, and I had belief that we'd overcome it through my taking accountability and doing some genuine work on myself. I entered some severe stints of self-loathing around this time. I'd never fathomed that I would betray my partner, and I was deeply hateful of the fact that I did. Ultimately, she decided that she didn't want to be together anymore. We went on some dates during the break, and she'd had some belief that we'd figure it out, but during a week in which we were no contact, she changed her mind. I didn't want to believe that this was the end, so I poured my heart out to her in a handwritten letter, taking note of all the wrongs I had done before. During and after cheating on her and telling her everything I wanted to do to make things right. Opening up about my continued addiction, making a promise to her that I'd find a professional to help me work through all of it. She said no. I won't get into the details of her decision, but it sent me spiraling. I opened up about every issue I'd had with her in the relationship, exploding at her in an unhealthy fit of rage and sorrow. I knew that I had done something horrible to her, but I was fixed on the hope that the strength of our relationship would prevail. In hindsight, it was a crumbling connection, so it shouldn't have been a surprise that she made the decision. She did during our break. I didn't handle things well. A couple months later, we spoke again to exchange items. We'd meet for coffee, and I proposed that we try reconnecting as friends and work through the pain together. She didn't want me in her life anymore, whether it was as a friend or a partner, so I let her go for good, knowing it was the only act of love I could give her. It still hurts, but I made a promise to myself that I'd give all I could to helping her, and letting go was the only option. I'm continuing to work on myself and reflect on all the things that led up to my decision, and I hope that she's continuing to find herself again. I write everything here with a message to the folks on this subreddit. Be considerate to the people you love and remember the value of trust. The pain of betrayal is something that no person should ever have to experience. It is an incredible gift in life to love and love deeply, and it's a terrible waste to squander it with selfishness. To the person who I hope never comes across this post, I miss you, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. May my distance from your life be the greatest apology I can give. Thank you to those who listened to the end. I hope my story was helpful in any way. Have you ever faced the consequences of cheating or betrayal in a relationship? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for updates on this journey.